Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in Modern. Today we're looking at Storm. Storm, sometimes called Gift Storm to differentiate it from its other variants, but usually just called Storm, is a combo deck that seeks to cast many spells in the same turn and eventually cap off with a lethal Storm card, usually Grape Shot. To that end, it plays cost reducers Baral and Goblin Electromancer in combination with Mana Rituals, Monomorphose, Desperate, and Pyretic Ritual, then rebuys those spells with Past in Flames. The rest of the deck is made up of cantrips and other cards that dig for spells to maintain consistency and refuel during combo turns. Gifts Ungiven is the best spell for setting up a win and generally finds the following cards: Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual, Monomorphose, and Past in Flames, although it can find other things depending on the situation. Additional win conditions that may be played are Empty the Warrens, Pyromancer Ascension, Aria of Flame, or Sorcerer class. Storm requires a lot of reps to understand when and what cards you need to go off. If you're just picking up the deck, you should practice with it until you can comfortably intuit when and how to perform your combo turns. Storm is the modern deck with the greatest ratio between competitive viability and price. You can play a version of the deck without fetch lands, which brings the price to around $250, making it a good starting point for players on a budget. Sideboarding and how to beat it. Like many combo decks, you can't afford to cut too much, and you should generally just shave on certain cards like cantrips. Some of the sideboard cards are targets for Wish and should be left where they are, with the rest being for specific problem cards. Storm excels at beating decks that can't interact on the stack. Even decks that pack a lot of creature removal can still be overwhelmed by a critical mass of rituals. Given Storm's need to resolve certain key cards such as Gifts Ungiven and Past in Flames, you'd think counterspell control decks would fare well against it, but it's surprisingly resilient and can overwhelm those decks by casting many spells in the same turn, especially by using Galvanic Relay. Storm needs to watch out for any sort of graveyard hate as well as stacks effects like Archon of Emeria or Thalia. These are the cards you board in removal and bounce for. Tips and tricks. Do the math first. Make sure you have enough mana and spells to go off before you start expending resources. Your Storm turns aren't necessarily deterministic and you can still fizzle, but there are methods to win even if you don't have enough spells to reach 20 casts in a turn. You can remand your own Grape Shot, which still gives you the Storm trigger and lets you recast it for double the effect. Alternatively, Empty the Warrens can win over multiple turns with as few as 6 tokens. You can bounce your own spells with Remand to protect them from counterspells such as Past in Flames and Gifts Ungiven. If you remand a spell you flashbacked with Past in Flames, it'll still be exiled. The flashback granted by Past in Flames only applies to spells that were already in your graveyard when you cast it. Gifts Ungiven targets your opponent, meaning it can be shut down by effects like Veil of Summer and Leyline of Sanctity. When your opponent presents you a gifts pile of Monomorphose, 2 Rituals, and Past in Flames, there's no combination you can give them that will stop their combo. Instead, limit how many draws they have by putting Flames and Morphos in the graveyard. While the deck doesn't need Baral or Engineer to win, it does need significantly more fuel without them, and so you should still keep in removal against the deck. If you have Baral or Engineer in hand and fear a removal spell, cast a Ritual first. That way, if it gets targeted, you have more mana to cast additional rituals in response. If you play Dismember, Baral and Electromancer let you cast it for free. Remand lets you loot with Baral. Otawara can save your cost reducer from removal, especially Baral since it also reduces the channel cost. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Storm. I want to thank my fellow players in the Magic community for whom sharing their experiences helps make these guides possible. You can find additional resources, such as an up-to-date deck list, in the description. If you think I left out anything important or got something wrong, please leave your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned to see what deck we look at next time.